The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated how vulnerable automotive supply chains are to disruption, bringing under scrutiny the extended global supply strategies. To do a deeper dive on the subject, we have with us Nabeel Khan, editor etauto.com, in conversation with VC Sehgal, chairman Motherson Sumi Systems.
Hello and welcome to the ET Global Town Hall. I'm joined by Mr. VC Sehgal, the chairman of Samvardhana Motherson Group, world's one of the largest component manufacturer, operating in over 41 countries, which includes European countries, US and China. He has a turnover of over 62,000 crores and targeting to become $26 billion in the next few years. Though the corona has put a bit of roadblock, but he is positive and hopes that he will be soon able to achieve that. Welcome to the Global Town Hall, Mr. Sehgal. It's always a pleasure. You operate in 41 countries. You have over 270 facilities across the world. Looking at the pandemic that we have been through, how do you see the global supply chain scenario in automotive sector changing? If you could give us a sense.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure always to be in your show. I think first thing that you have to understand is that we are there manufacturing where our customers are. So the philosophy of globally local manufacturing is truly represented by Motherson. We have been following this policy for the last now maybe 17 years, 18 years. From 2003 onwards. So I think today the need of understanding the supply chain and the variabilities that the supply chain can throw up, the challenges that it can throw up are immense. And I believe that if you are in a position to be globally active in all the places where your customer is, I think you have won the war or on supply chain. We believe that this whole experience of the pandemic has given us tremendous amount of insight as to how the future of manufacturing is going to be. It's not going to be so easy that people imagine that, we can order it from here and order it from there. While it makes a huge impact on the GDP of the local country also, but also these kind of challenges, which are going to become probably a bit more real in the coming times, will also expose the gut. So there has to be different solutions, and the solution is to make yourself strong, as like our Prime Minister says, Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think you will have Atmanirbhar 41 countries.
So how do you see, this COVID impacting processes that we used to follow in manufacturing or automotive industry? Do you see emerging a new challenger or new, big players in automotive value chain? How the business scenario is going to change, if you could?
So I think first thing you have to understand is that globally, some calculation, it's about 7 or 8 trillion euros has been pumped into the market globally. Whether it's America, it's Europe, or it's XYZ, Japan, Korea, I don't know. Every country put together, that number is an astronomical number. The amount of money that's there in the system is actually going to drive the new thought processes. People are going to still consume, they have to consume. The thinking change on personal mobility is going to really drive the automotive markets very, very differently. I think for the last 2 years, there has been a lot of rethinking on personal mobility, and people thought that, buses and trucks and trains and all these planes and all these things are going to be the main thing. But I personally believe it's not going to be so. It's going to be quite different. It's going to be everyone for his own self. I think if you ask yourself this question very openly, that, am I comfortable traveling in a plane? Am I comfortable traveling in a train? The answer will be a revelation to you. So it will change the world dramatically.
We have seen a lot of geopolitical changes also have been coming with us. Do you see any new protagonist emerging in the global supply chain space when it comes to automotive, and what are going to be those?
So, Nabil, definitely there's going to be huge consolidation, huge, because look, you have a year and a half, 2 years of automotive numbers globally. On top of that, you had some crises in the different countries. Third, you have the pandemic. People have not yet been able to come up to 100% capacity. A lot of money has been given to the industry to stay afloat somehow. I think there is going to be a record amount of disruptions of maybe bankruptcies or whichever way you want to look at it is going to be there. And that means there's going to be a tremendous amount of consolidation that will take place. So if you're standing with a strong balance sheet, you will do very well.
So coming to the overall industry, looking at the scenario, we have seen that China was the leading protagonist when it comes to supply chain. With the pandemic striking the world equally, looking at the geopolitical scenario, Indo-US relation or US-China relation or China-India relation, or the emerging manufacturing hubs like Vietnam gaining momentum. In this entire change that we are going to see in a post-COVID world, new normal, new discoveries are going to be there. What is your anticipation? Where do you see the new heroes of the supply chain coming up when it comes to geography? And how do you see India's role there?
This is a very difficult question because what you're trying to explain to me that the countries will have to start to look inwards and try to find that particular thing, the resource to come up to these challenges. My biggest surety is that if you are capable, you will be able to do anything and everything that you want. The problem is capability. If we are going to enforce it by laws, we're going to go wrong, whichever country is going to do that. I think if the country focuses on capability, focuses on the resources which allow the people to use this excellent capability, I think that's the solution. So I'm not so worried about whether one country or the other country is going to stop or not do. But if you have a capable thing available in a particular country, say suppose we have something really capable available in India, why would it not do very well outside in the world also? It will do very well there also. So I think capability, cost competitiveness, and the government's ability to support the industry is vital in this particular thing. If you want to think 5 years, 10 years down the line. If you want to do something tomorrow morning, I really think there's nothing much that can be done.
If you look at Indian manufacturers in component space or suppliers, what are the area, if you could give us a sense in terms of technology, in terms of product, that you think India can have advantage over others on the global pedestal?
Very difficult for me to capture such a wide subject in a sentence or two. But I think one particular thing is that the auto ancillaries in India have done a stupendous job in meeting the targets that have been set for cost, for quality, for delivery, for every aspect on the products that they make. And the reason I say that is because just have a look at the cars they produce. Amazing cars are coming. So I think that combination of auto ancs along with the car makers is a fantastic combination. If they can continue to do that, become more competitive, the government can also help by removing many of the obstacles that these people have, the challenges have. I can't go into one particular industry, but just generally, the ease of doing business has to improve. Once that is done, I think you are going to be very, very strong. But I would want to put a caveat here. The solution is not going to be to export from India. The ability has to be to manufacture in that country economically with support from the Indian company. That is the solution, not that we will export from India.
So how do you see about the job markets in India? Will that not impact?
No, it won't impact because the consumption in India is going to grow. There is no way you can stop that.
Okay, so local manufacturing will
Yeah,
expand also.
it has to expand. See,
We are talking.
our penetration of cars per thousand is just, I think, if I'm not wrong, 31 or
25, 30, 30, yeah, now 30, yeah.
31, something like that. I mean, America is 980. I mean, I can't believe that, we are the fourth largest country when it comes to the rail networks. We are the second largest when it comes to road network.
Yeah.
And we have the lowest penetration of cars. Something is wrong somewhere. That's what I think.
You also mentioned about the Atmanirbhar part. Our self-reliant company. So, and localization, be vocal for local. That was another call by our Honorable Prime Minister. When we talk about local, how do you see local? Do you think local are those companies which are promoted by Indians, or you think any company that comes to India, sets of local manufacturing, they can be called local? How do you define local?
I can't really profess anything because my citizenship is Australian and I'm doing business in India. So now you can call me local or you can call me from Australia. I don't know what the whole thing is. But I think, these are definitions. And the definitions are important for a country because they will define the parameters in which people are going to come and invest in that particular country. So if your definition goes wrong, and the definition is a very loose kind of a structure, it makes that much more difficult. So as you see, one particular country is seeing a tremendous amount of withdrawal of businesses coming out from that particular country. Very few of that have come to India. Very little has come to India because I think our definitions and all that are not very clear. Once we make that clear, I think you can see tremendous inflow, funds, jobs. You can see businesses coming to India dramatically.
Which are the challenges that India has to overcome it if it wants to achieve itself to be one of the formidable forces in global supply chain? Which are the, like Vietnam, China, who are the nearest competition that you think India needs to overcome?
Nabil, in Motherson, we follow Lord Krishna's way, and he said one must by himself pick himself up. So our competition is not China, it's not XYZ, any country. We are our biggest competitor. If we can do better than what we are doing, we are home. And one day, trust me, you will become a benchmark if you follow that.
Thank you. I think those are really inspiring words. You are an Indian origin company, and we have seen a lot of resistance for Indian companies in terms of acceptance in overseas market, especially developed market like US, Europe. You have gone there, you have started manufacturing there locally. How did you deal with that? What kind of resistance you felt, if you ever felt, and how did you deal with that? How much openness is there to accept an Indian company in a high precision, high technology, area like automotive, where you are making a lot of high grade technology components? So how difficult it was, and how did you fight it out?
One thing you have to understand that Indians as a class of people really enjoy a lot of respect. Okay, there have been bad examples here and there, but by and large, Indian people are considered very hardworking. Companies are considered very, very respectful. So I did see initially, in initial part of my life, I did see a lot of conflict. People had difficulty to believe that what we could achieve. But I think once you show that in one country, and that becomes then your reference point, we have grown to 160, 170 plants have been set up all over the world. Not a question asked. Everybody is absolutely supportive of what we are wanting and very, very helpful to do that. I think it just depends upon your first this thing. If you have a good example to show, people will follow you everywhere. US is no exception either. We have 27 plants in China.
Yes, yes. So, do you think that with the COVID coming up, a lot of effort is there to reduce human intervention, to reduce human, because in such a crisis situation, we try to use, machines more. Do you see the automation
No,
gaining
no,
momentum, and how do you see that?
no. I don't agree with that view. The crux of everything is the human involvement. At the end of the day, the machine has to be there, the production has to happen. You are not reaching, one of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of Future or something. And that's still way, way, way ahead. I think the importance of human being, the importance of human touch is very, very important. And Motherson, we don't believe that. I mean, our company's name is Mother and Son, two people. There's no robot there anywhere.
So, what's the current level of automation that you have adopted, and do you think it will be static, or you think change in your 270 facilities that you have?
So by and large, they are very, very focused on the human being, but they are more considerate to their things, so that a person doesn't have to lift something which is very heavy. Then we will use a robot or something like that, or something which is dangerous. For example, you're doing shots of aluminum die casting or something like that. Then the robots are there to do that whole particular, pick up a hot part out and not hurt anything human. So it's very protective of the human side. I think that automation makes a lot of sense. The other thing that makes a lot of sense is what is called frugal engineering or frugal use of this thing. If you have 10 people sorting out and one particular machine can do that, why not? You should do that. So the dignity of the labor has to be improved. That means that they'll get more spending, more salary, more spending power. So all these particular things, I think those are the right directions for automation. If it's only for cutting down labor, I don't agree with that.
One last question. India is, known for its edge, as in they have low cost manpower, they have high grade software, engineers, and we are one of the biggest suppliers. And that has been giving it an edge when we see it globally. Do you think they are going to change, or you think these two prowess are going to be the winner for India, and in India as a manufacturing hub, or you can say supply chain leader?
So here I'm going to go a little contrary to what I just said before. There is nothing as free lunch. There is nothing as cheap labor. That doesn't exist. The ability to increase the productivity to a level where the company can sustain its products in the global market is something which we all have to strive for and achieve for. So I think it depends upon what we are talking about, which part of the industry we're looking at. For me, dignity of the labor is very, very important. We ourselves have about 150,000 people working globally. So we would not subscribe to that cheaper labor is going to be the solution for tomorrow. I think smarter associates, smarter labor is probably the answer, if I can answer your loaded question.
Thank you so much. Let's conclude. I would like to request you to give out a message for your Indian counterpart. What should they do to be a winner in the global supply chain space, be it automotive or otherwise? What would be your message to them?
To all my friends who wish to learn something from this particular interview, I would tell you to be like water. Water will always find the path of least resistance. The markets are there for you to conquer, but if you are rigid, you can't go through those small things where you can actually achieve those places or go to those markets. So please make yourself as flexible as water. Water penetrates everything that you can imagine, and will continuous effort will also bring down mountains. So be water.
So how do you see the crisis? What's your message for the current crisis?
Crisis is very unfortunate. A lot of people have died. I'm very sorry for that. But please don't look at it that way. Look at it as an opportunity also. there is so much more that you can do now. And India was 563 countries that became India in 1947. What's another 40 countries for you? Nothing. It's just a part of your imagination if you think it's big. Actually, it's nothing.
Thank you so much. Let's end this with this inspiring line that we were already over 500 countries. What's big deal to add another 50 or 100 countries? Thank you so much for your candid answers. Stay tuned to ET Global Town Hall. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nabil, for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for guiding us through these incredibly trying times. We encourage the audience to continue to engage with us on social media using the hashtag ET Global Town Hall. See you on the other side.